It's our time. We must rise up and no longer disparage. It's our time, church, to honor our heritage. We have a Savior. He gave it all on the cross. We stand beside martyrs who counted nothing as loss. They took God's mysteries, opened them up for us. Stephen, John the Baptist, Bonhoeffer, Jan Hus. Surrounded by a cloud of witnesses above, it's now our turn to model his unending love. Our mission is one we cannot confuse, nor muddy up with some trite excuse. You say you're not well-versed, ready, or able. I think Moses even tried to use that fable. The time we have, it's now more urgent. If we should hear, well done, faithful servant. Yeah, church, it's our time. It's our time to confess the ways we're mangled, the sins and selfishness that have us entangled. Lust, greed, and pride, their path leads to the grave. Yet we return to our sins as if we're a slave. Can we survive in this putrid Dead Sea? I quote Paul, may it never be. So let's cast aside our individual leprosy and begin to leave a biblical legacy. There's a glorious prize awaiting to be won, and the way to win is to start to run. Let's lace them up and fight the good fight, become to the world both salt and light. Our life on earth is merely a vapor. Our chapter must move from pen to paper. So church, let's get to writing because it's our time. It's our time, church. We have what it takes to help the world from its slumber awake. To Jesus, we are his beautiful bride. Whom shall we fear with him on our side? We have each other. We are not alone. It's iron to iron in the combat zone. There's a promise of life full of adventure. As long as we give both talents and treasure, the workers are few, the harvest is plenty, with so many lives running on empty. Scores of people trying to cope, they've come to the end of their proverbial rope. Young eyes are wandering, looking for direction. Make sure we point them to his resurrection. The clock's ticking, we're on our dime. Hey church, rise up! It's our time.
There's injustice in the world. What are you going to do about it? There's injustice in the world, and what are we going to do about it? You might be thinking, so what can I do about it? Martin Luther King said it this way: it is always the right time to do what is right. In this series that we're talking about throughout the month of February, we're learning about Queen Esther, who was a Jewish queen who did not make her identity known to the king at the instruction of her cousin Mordecai/guardian, because she was put in that right place as the right person at the right time to do the right thing, to preserve God's plan as it has played out across the world. The first Holocaust was not something that happened back in 1940 through 1944 during World War II, when Hitler killed 6 million Jews. The first Holocaust was proposed in the Old Testament. And the right person prepared at the right time to do the right thing in the right place with the right people made a difference. So there's injustice in the world. What are you doing about it? You say, well, I'm not the kind of person that does really big, splashy things. I don't get on planes and go to Ethiopia or Nicaragua or Guatemala like a lot of our courageous people did in our church, to go bring the love of Christ in a practical way. Incidentally, our Ethiopia team is back, so you guys say welcome back. Give them a big hand for what they did. But God's called us to do things that combat injustice. You're going like, so what are you talking about? There's injustice in your world. There's injustice, I would say, probably in every part of your world and in my world. Is there injustice at work for some of you? Are there people that are being treated ways that are not in keeping with that which is just? And you know something about it, or what are you doing about it? Are there injustices in your home? Are there people that are treating other people inside of your home? I'll fix this rug. This will ruin me if I don't fix that there. Are there things that are ruining you inside of your home because there's some injustice happening? Maybe it's between kids that are fighting and one kid's bullying another kid inside of your home. Speaking of injustice and bullying, if you're a student here today, if you're somebody that's in middle school or high school or you're watching online, is there somebody in your school that is being bullied and you're just kind of turning your head the other way because you want to fit in with everybody else when instead you could step in and say, I'm going to sit with her at lunchtime if nobody else is and quit picking on her. I'm going to pick him to be on my team if nobody else is going to pick him to be on my team and quit picking on them, even if it costs you. Incidentally, do you really want to be friends with somebody like that? Do you really want to be the person in your family that's saying, I'm just going to kind of turn the other way when this injustice is going on? Or are you just going to be the kind of person at work to say, well, you know what? I got to protect my job and I got to make my money, and I know that's the wrong thing to do, to make the sale that way, to do the proposal that way, to have the HR thing to happen in that kind of way, but I'm just going to stay out of it. Listen. Really listen. When there's something where God calls to you and you hear the calling of God with your spiritual ears, if not your physical ones, do something about it. Decide to do something about it today. If nobody else is going to do what's right, you and I need to do what is right. Twyla Parrish years ago, who was a famous contemporary Christian singer, she said, if I close my ears to the tearful cries of a poor man's child as he walks beside me, I can mark your words, God. There will come a time when my cries will fall on ears like mine. Here am I, she says. Here am I say. Here am I, Isaiah says. Here am I, Esther says. Send me. I'm going to do something about it. So this part of the story of Esther we're going to pick up today begins with a foiled assassination attempt. Somebody is trying to assassinate King Xerxes. And Mordecai and Esther come to the rescue. Mordecai directly, Esther indirectly. But because of what Mordecai does then, it puts him in a position with Esther to save God's people later. But it happens in this way. What if, ladies and gentlemen, somebody had stepped forward in 1963 and prevented the assassination of John F. Kennedy? How different would the world be? What would it be like if the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania did not kill somebody while also trying to kill a president, and they stopped him before it started? That assassination attempt would have been foiled. At a Palm Beach or Florida golf club, somebody did exactly that several weeks later as an attempted assassination of a president had been stopped before a shot was even done. What if somebody had found the shooter of Charlie Kirk before Charlie was shot? What would it have been like? What would the world have been like for them to have stopped that person? How could the world be even better because he remained on this earth, even though many wonderful things have happened since he has gone to his reward in heaven? You say, well, assassination attempts, I don't have any knives or guns or anything like that, Pastor Ray, but you and I have the opportunity every single day of our lives to prevent this type of assassination attempt. A character assassination. You know, I hear about him. You know, I've heard about her. You know what they do. You know what all that family's like. You know what all those people are like. There are assassinations that are going on with the weapons of our tongues and our mouths or the weapons of others. And sometimes we just need to step in the middle of that and say, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to let it happen. I don't need to be your friend anymore. I might always be in your family, but this is not going to happen in our family anymore. I'm stepping in to stop this madness and to bring about justice. But here's what happened. Xerxes is the king. Queen Vashti has been deposed. If you missed that last week, she was the first woman hero in this story. The world would not be the same if Vashti had not said no to the king. They have this gigantic beauty pageant. Esther, who is a Jewish person, is selected to be the king. But Mordecai, her guardian/cousin, who's taking care of her since the time her parents died, he said, don't tell him that you're a Jew because we're kind of uncertain in the way they're going to treat us if everybody knows that you and me and all of our people are Jews. Here's how it starts, Esther chapter 2. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality, just as Mordecai had told her to do. For she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions as she had done when he was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, pause right there for just a minute. What does that mean? It means that for some reason, Mordecai had earned enough authority that he's seated at the place where people go in and out constantly to meet the king. If you But imagine this would be kind of like somebody that's sitting at the gate of the White House, and he's somebody that is guarding the gate among the other royal officials. We don't know what he did to get there, but we do know that Mordecai was there. And because he was there, it was a good moment. It was a wonderful thing that he was there at that time, because here's what happened next. During that time, Mordecai was sitting at the gate, Bigthana and Teresh. Just look at those names right there. Everybody say Bigthana and Teresh. Everybody say Teresh. Sounds like two WWF fighters, right? Two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. So insiders at the gate alongside Mordecai were out to kill the king. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. This is really, really big in this story. We'll find out about this more in the weeks to come. And when the report was investigated and found out to be true, the two officials, Bigthana and Teresh, were impaled on poles. All this was recorded in the book of the animals in the presence of the king. It's like the king decreed that they would die. They would die because of this attempted assassination, and it was written down. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, when big things happen in our lives and just things happen in our lives, we need to keep a record of it. Write a note down in your notebook. Keep an open note on your iPhone to say thank, or your Android for those of you that are not saved yet. And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You guys are just smarter than I am. Anyway, that's why I can only, anyway. Write it down. Say, God, deliver me here. I've got this list of things on my phone, and I opened it up some time ago, and I just started to write down. It was a really hard day, and there were things that were happening in my life that were hard to deal with, and there were some injustices that were going on. And I just began to write down stuff like, God, you've done this, and God, you did that, and God, you did this, and God, you did that. The king wrote it down. There was a reason that Bigthana and Teresh are no longer with us, and we're no longer with them at that day. So what's number one is, ladies and gentlemen, step in the path of evil and stop it when you're given an opportunity. Step into that family conversation that's been like this for a long time and stop it and move forward and bring peace. Step into that place at your work and say, it's not right that he is being treated or she is being treated this way. Come on. Step into that situation in your community where there are things that are going on like human trafficking and say, we're going to make a difference. My favorite saying is this, and this is my life mission statement in a capsule. I want to make a difference with people who want to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference at a time that makes a difference. Esther is stepping into her time. I want to challenge you to step into your time, because what could happen if you do what is right and I do what is right, and then we collectively do what is right, and we bring light and justice to our community, how the world can change and how we can be the love of Jesus Christ in practical ways in people's lives in a lost and dying world. Step into the path of evil and stop it. By the way, many people are keyboard warriors and they assassinate people online. Stop assassinating people online. I want to challenge you to do something as a Christ follower. You can speak up about whatever you want to speak up about, but keep it neutral or positive, or don't comment at all. Not online. All they're going to do is people are going to bury you from this side and bury you from that side and that kind of stuff. Instead, courageously, it's really easy to type something to hit send, right? It's harder to step up and say, I'm not allowing that injustice in the place I work. I'm not allowing that injustice in my family. I am not allowing that injustice in my community. I am not allowing that injustice in my world, even if it costs me. You're going like, but Pastor Ray, but what? Listen, meet Haman, the Old Testament's Hitler, and Mordecai, who refused to bow. In Esther chapter 3, verses 1 through 11. After these events, the Bigthana Teresh attempted assassination that Mordecai foiled. King Xerxes honored Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, elevating him and giving him a seat of honor higher than that of all the other nobles. Now, we don't know what Haman did. There's no story. We know what Mordecai did, but we don't know what Haman did. But for some reason, all of a sudden, he's the biggest, most important guy in all the kingdom. The story continues. All the royal officials of the king's gate, knelt down and paid honor to Haman, for the king had commanded this concerning him. We don't know what he's done. We don't know why when Haman shows up, people are supposed to kneel down and hail Haman, hail Haman. But that's exactly what happened. And the story continues. But Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor. Then the royal officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the king's command?" Day after day they spoke to him, but he refused to comply. It doesn't say that he even said anything back to them. He was like, "No, I'm not doing that." Therefore, they told Haman about it to see whether Mordecai's behavior would be tolerated. For he had told them he was a Jew. Let's say something about the word tolerated for just a minute. But before saying that, let me say this. Haman was so prideful, as he was walking through the crowd and people were bowing down, he didn't even notice that Mordecai was not doing it until somebody told him. And then he was able to latch on his anger into something that would attempt to change the world. Let's talk about tolerance right now. You see these bumper stickers, like they have different symbols of world religions, like practice tolerance, right? How about this? Like tolerance is like some great virtue. How about this? Hey, I'm just going to tolerate you. I'm going to tolerate you, Brad, Katie. I'm going to tolerate y'all. That's like the lowest possible level of acceptance. No, God's called us to love God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and then to love others as we love ourselves. Not to tolerate people. That's not some great virtue. I tolerate you. Instead, I want to love you. We want to love you in God's name. We want to bring justice into this world, individually and corporately and collectively together to do something in this world. Yet having learned that who Mordecai's people were, he scorned the idea of killing only Mordecai. So Haman finds out, Mordecai's a Jew. I've never really liked this people, says Haman himself. Throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. So instead, Haman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. So he's going to take an experience with one person and cast a blanket of destruction, cast a blanket of murder across everyone. There are people that still do that today. You hear people say stuff like this. Those people, everybody knows those people do this. Whether they're a different ethnicity or a different nationality or from somebody from a different side of the tracks or a different social class. You know, all those people are this way. No, they're not. Now, Mordecai was acting on behalf of all of his people. Esther was acting on behalf of all his people. But don't take your anger or your judgment about somebody and lay it on everybody that looks like them. Amen. Instead, Haman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. In the 12th year of Xerxes, in the first month, the month of Nisan, the pur, that is the lot, was cast in the presence of Haman to select a day and a month. And the lot fell on the 12th month, the month of Adar. So Purim is something that Jews still celebrate because, newsflash, she does deliver the Jewish people, but in a very different kind of way. But Purim is a time that's celebrated. This year will be on March the 1st and 2nd. It's something like Passover. It's something like the Feast of Booths. There's multiple Old Testament feasts, but it is still being celebrated today, like Hanukkah and various other festivals of the Jewish people. Then Haman said to King Xerxes, now you remember, he's number 2 guy. There's a certain people dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom who keep themselves separate. Their customs are different from those of all the other people, and they do not obey the king's laws. This sounds just like Hitler in the first part of the 20th century. It's Esther and Mordecai in the Old Testament. It is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will give 10,000 talents of silver to the king's administrators for the royal treasury. Now, we don't know a whole lot about Haman, but apparently this person's got money. Maybe he's the Bill Gates, the Warren Buffett, the Elon Musk of his day. He's somebody that's got lots of power now, but he's also got lots of money. He says, listen, king, if you'll do this, I'll put another 10,000 talents of silver in the royal treasury. So the king took his signet ring from his finger, and he gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. What does that mean? In every letter, in any decree, any kind of law, it would be sealed with the stamp of a royal authority. So essentially, Xerxes is given, by giving his ring to Haman, his royal authority to this man to do essentially whatever it is that he wants to do. In those days, anytime any document was transcribed, anytime any law was done, there would be this putty kind of seal placed on the back of the letter, and then the person who had the authority would take their ring and they would stamp it with the king's authority. So the king took his signet ring from his finger and he gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. He said, "Keep the money," the king said to Haman, "and do with the people as you please." Wow, this shows you how unaware Xerxes is about what's going on. Just do whatever. He's just talking about a little group of people. How about you? Are you just going to say do whatever? The injustice that you're seeing happen at work? Are you going to do whatever when you see bullying at school? Are you going to say whatever when somebody's being unjust to somebody else in your family? Are you just going to do and say whatever when you see something happen in your neighborhood you know this shouldn't be going down? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to step into the path of evil and I'm going to do something about it? Here's the second thing. See, the most important thing that we need to understand at the core and at the center of this story is how pride can ruin you and pride can ruin me. See, Haman was such a prideful guy that he demanded the respect of people. He had positional respect. Not respect necessarily that he had earned, but because the king said you need to be respected, everybody was respecting him. So when somebody that is so insecure is not respected in the way that they think that they need to be respected, they tend to get defensive about it. God spoke very clearly to you and to me about this as well, too. I want to challenge you to what I call the ultimate virtue. Under the authority of the love of God, I think the ultimate virtue of all virtues is the gift of humility. Is understanding your place and your position in this life, that there are other authorities over you. Your first authorities are your parents or your grandparents. Your next authorities are your teachers. Your next authorities are those people that protect us and make sure that we all obey the laws. The next authority in our world are people that are governmental leaders and people like that. But here's what we need to do. We need to humble ourselves. Pride kills us when we seek to kill others. And incidentally, again, you don't need a weapon to kill somebody else. You can kill them with your thoughts. You can kill them with your attitudes. You can kill them with your tongue. And more often than not, when we are assassinating the character of somebody else or pulling or tearing somebody down, it's because we are insecure in and of our own selves. The Apostle Peter wrote, "All of you clothe yourselves with humility towards one another, because God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble." And he says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time." God's going to lift you up in his respect, and it's going to be worth the time you waited to get the respect you deserve. So they began preparing for a Holocaust. Exodus 4, 1-3. When Mordecai learned of all that he had done, he tore his clothes, and he put on sackcloth and ashes, and he went out into the city, wailing loudly and bitterly. Would you do that at an injustice? But he went only as far as the king's gate, because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter it. In every province to which the edict and the order of the king came, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting and weeping and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. What does that mean? Anytime they would mourn, they would tear their clothes, they would put ashes on their heads, they would wear old, mournful clothes so that people would know that. Is there something in your life that you are burdened enough about that you would go out and weep and wail about it? Ladies and gentlemen, I do a lot of funerals, and there's a lot of weeping and there's a lot of wailing at funerals, and a lot of times it's because the work was not done to restore the relationship before it was too late inside that family, inside that whatever the business in that world, or whatever it happens to be. So that people are wailing and they wish they had another opportunity. Make it right today. Start in your own family. Start bringing justice inside of your own family today. Do the right thing. So what, number 3? Collaborate to dominate. Collaborate to dominate. Come together. That's what we do. When we come together and we sing, I sought the Lord, and he heard, and he answered. We sing that together. There's something different about that than just singing it in your car and turning the volume up. When we come together to give our time and our talents, and yes, our treasures, so that we might make a difference in the world. When we collaborate, we dominate. But time is short, so I need to take you to the next point. Now is the right time for you and me to make a difference. Now. Everybody say now. Say now. Say now. Now is the right time to make a difference. And that thing that has been troubling you, have the conversation. Make the donation. Step into the organization. Make the difference. Hathach went back and reported to Esther what Mordecai had said. Then she instructed him to say to Mordecai, all the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they may be put to death unless the king extends the gold scepter to them and spares their lives. Yes, it was one of those days that even the wife of the king, the queen of the king, had to wait for the king to say, hey, I want you to come in my presence. And if she did come and she had a bad look on her face, if she looked mournful or tearful, she could be killed, or people could be killed just for entering in the presence of the king with the wrong attitude. And Esther knew this. She was mourning. She had tears coming out of her eyes. Her eyes were red. She'd been wearing sackcloth and ashes, perhaps, just like Mordecai and the rest of the Jewish people, because they knew that on this particular day, they were going to be wiped out if the plan was not foiled. But 30 days have passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position, everybody say this with me, for such a time as this. For such a time as this. Say it again. For such a time as this. Leave that up there for just a moment. Now's your time. Now's my time. Now is our time. We're going to help to fight trafficking. We're also going to help to bring justice in families and justice in businesses and justice with one another, because we know the right time to do the right thing is right now. Here's what happens. Act with courage, even if it costs you. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa. That was the place where they were locally. And fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I'll go to the king, even though it's against the law. Instead of waiting for him to summon me, I'm going to go in. Would y'all fast and go without eating and drinking? Would you pray for me for 3 days? And then she says these words. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. Now the one Mordecai who had raised her up as a child after her parents had left this world. Now Mordecai is following her instructions as the king. And he goes out and he gets under her authority as the queen, rather, to tell the people to do what is necessary for the people to be saved. See, the bottom line today, now is your time. Now is my time. Now is our time. Follow God and fight evil. Don't just do it as a keyboard warrior. Don't just do it with a bumper sticker on your car. Vote, if you will. Voting is starting for local elections. Vote for those that have integrity. Vote for those that are worthy of our respect. And find out enough about them. Take enough time to figure out who that is. But vote with your decisions. Vote in your business. Vote by sitting next to the bullied kid. Vote by picking that person to be on your team that's always excluded. Vote, act, bring justice in the face of injustice. You see, that's just exactly what Jesus did. The Father sent His Son to be the Savior of the world. He left the throne room of heaven, having done nothing wrong, and humbled Himself to become obedient to death, even the death on the cross. Wherefore God also highly exalted Him and gave Him a name which is above all names. If Esther had not done her part, in some way God's plan could have changed in the way he was going to bring this about. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's something in the world, maybe some things in the world, that only you can do. And God is calling you to do those things. And he's waiting for you to take the initiative to do them. Not to wait for somebody else to do it. You're the one that speaks up. You're the one that stands up. You're the one that steps into the middle of an evil situation to bring about God's good. But don't try to do that by sticking out your chest and doing it on your own strength. Instead, we must lean upon the one, the Father who sent his Son to be the Savior of the world, to sacrifice his life for us, to bring justice. Perfect, sinless sacrifice taking upon your sin and mine. Don't try to do justice if you don't have the one who came to make justice possible as the Lord and Master of your heart. Would you bow your heads and hearts in prayer? Whether you're watching online or in this room, today as we close this message, the way God brings justice in this world is by justifying us first with him. All of us have sinned and fallen short of God's glory, but God demonstrated his love in that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still sinners, he did that. And if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you believe in your hearts that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved and become a minister of justice and light and right in this world. The right person at the right time, at the right place, in the right way, with the right people. But today we want to invite you to be on God's team before we move any further. So how do I do that, Pastor Ray? It's a prayer. It's a desire of your heart. It's an act of your will. Will you say to him, yes, God. Yes, Jesus. My way doesn't work. You say, how do you do that? You say that by saying this and meaning it from the depths of your heart. Dear Jesus, I give you my life. Past, present, future, good, bad, ugly. I'm yours. Would you use me to bring justice in this world? Dear Jesus, I give you my life as the prayer to pray today.